All right. Hello, everyone. It's Nancy Rebecca with Intuitive Mind. And today I get to share a little bit of a conversation with you with Maura Nelson, who has been a part of the Psychic Mastery One program. How long were you in the Psychic Mastery One program?
I started in 2013.
Wow. So in
Yeah.
2013, and then just most recently, she's transferred over to Psychic Mastery 2. But I'm super excited to introduce you to her, and she's just really great at describing where she was, where she has been, and potentially where she hopes to go. And so I really wanted to help share her experience in case you can relate to her stories and what is she sharing. But the main thing about the Psychic Mastery One program, I call it Psychic Mastery, which just means soul mastery, soul seer, spirit mastery, where we teach, intuitive development for what I call the modern world or the real world, about, how you can use your intuitive ability to navigate life. It's not just to something fun to do on the weekend. So we're going to dive right into Maura. And Maura, what I'm really interested in knowing, and I bet a lot of people are interested in knowing, did you always consider yourself intuitive? Is it something that you were ever curious about before? What did you think about other people who said that they were intuitive or that they had about abilities? Was that them and not you? And then what caused you to finally make that leap into the deep end of the swimming pool of joining the Psychic Mastery One program in 2013?
Okay. So I never considered myself intuitive. Never considered that. I think it's because of the religious lane that I grew up in. It just never, I guess it just never entered my awareness. I grew up in a Catholic, very Irish Catholic family, Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, Catholic college. And ironically, it was the Catholic college, Jesuit college, that sort of blew me wide open. They brought in all these different spiritual teachers from different religions because they wanted you to own your own faith. So they would bring in a Hare Krishna and a rabbi and an imam and all these different things. And it's okay, now match what you think, what you believe to this. And it just like,
wow,
cracked me open. And so it was hard
that
at
sounds
first.
amazing, actually.
I know it was a really good experience. So they're saying, don't believe what your parents taught you to believe what you want to believe. So I just, then that started sort of my spiritual seeking experience after college. And, for a long time I would meditate, and I became for many years a cafeteria style spiritual seeker.
What do you mean by that?
I would go like, ooh, astrology, and I would get interested in astrology, but not do a deep enough dive to really completely understand it. And then I would transcendental meditation, and go into all of that. And then I did, I can't even remember all the different kinds of meditation, chanting, tarot cards. Gosh, I'm missing a lot of them. Reiki, I did Reiki. They're all fabulous, all of them.
Right.
But
and how long would you find that you would kind of stick to what you learned before it kind of faded in the background?
I guess I mean, I don't consider myself ADD. I don't consider that, but I would be scrolling and find something, someone would give me a book, or I would read something online and I would just squirrel, I'm going to go, ooh, and then I would do a deep dive into that, and listen to these, listen to that. And I'm also a mental, I spin in my head a lot. So I just kept filling up my brain and filling up my brain and filling up my brain with all of this stuff. But I never brought it into my daily life. It never went from here out to here. I just like, ooh, this is so cool. This is great information. But my world never changed, or it never helped me manage myself or my world, So I'm just like, oh, it was like a hobby,
Yeah.
And a fascinating one, but that's what it was. And I mean, I meditated all the time, and I would go into this bliss state, which now I know from your teaching, I was going up here, and I would just like, as you have said before, the word, I would just bliss out, but then, you come back in, you open your eyes, and then you're back to your real life. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was kind of my world for many, many years. And then came to Tacoma with a friend of mine who knew you, and you came and did a group reading for us, for this college group. And that, to me, I guess I would say, was like, ooh, okay, this is like a main course in my cafeteria style learning. This is, it had meat to it. I could, I've never been a feeler. I didn't think I was ever intuitive, because I'm more I never could see anything. I couldn't feel anything in my body. So I didn't think that I was intuitive or psychic. I thought I was just a good learner, but not a good
Yeah.
experiencer,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And so for the first time, when you did this group meditation with us, and I was like, oh, wow, I can feel this, the grounding, I could start to feel that. And so anyway, that was kind of the beginning of my journey. So I started with the intuitive mind with you. And but at that time, it was the home study program. I mean, and so I was learning on my own. So once again, I'm on my own. And so I just was still dipping my toe in the water. I wasn't still full in, but the program, the techniques that you use in Psychic Mastery 1, I started to apply to my life. The grounding was huge, because I had never been able to really feel grounded. And the I guess I don't remember what module, I think it's module 8, but it was the land and building one with my classroom. And I worked with in an alternative school with some
Because you're a
kids from
teacher.
trauma. Yes, I'm a teacher, public school teacher, high school teacher. And I started bringing in the energy into my classroom every day. And I just
And
trusted
how would
that
you
it would
do
work.
that? How would you do that?
I did the golden pillars. Is that, yeah. So I would bring in, imagine I'm sitting in my classroom, just bring in these golden pillar, bring it in, and then I would just push out the edges, and it would stop. I would sense, as a knower, I would sense that it was okay, that's as far as it can go. And I bring in another one, and then push it out a little bit. And I bring in another one, and then push it out a little bit, and bring in another one and push it out a little bit. I did that technique. And then I did the corners of the room, and it just kind
It
of
just would
cleared.
help kind of smooth out the energy of the classroom.
Yes. And it was crazy, because again, I didn't think I was a feeler, I was a knower, but I could feel like below the chairs, the student chairs, it was just like whoosh, it just like calmed down. And it took a while. I think it probably October, November. I started in September. But students of trauma, I have learned, at least my experience with trauma people, is that they'll come in a room and they immediately, unconsciously scan the room, just a quick scan. Am I safe? Is this a safe space for me?
Oh, yeah.
I learned that because they told me that. Because they started coming in. These students they'd stop and they'd scan and go, yeah, this is pretty good. Yep, I'll hang here. And they'd come in, and then more students would come in, and then more students would come in, and the whole environment changed from just like quiet, studious, or heavy, like their own heavy energy, to just this light and laughter. I mean, it was kind of a slow, gradual thing, but it was definitely a shift. And so I started asking them, I said, what's different? They would come in and they go, did you put up new posters? What's different in here?
Did you get your hair done? I love that one. Did you get your hair done?
Right. Yeah. And so they said, it just feels different. I mean, it's like the energy's good in here. And I'm like, you really said that word, the energy's good in here? And they're like, yeah, you can feel it. So
well, and the thing is that it's, what I love about the program, and the reason why I teach it, I'm a registered nurse. It's like, intuition has to have a practical outcome, and it has to have a practical purpose for me to be able to work with it, to find it value, because you're absolutely right. You could sit in meditation and go to the stars. You can imagine unicorns and rainbows and whales and dolphins. Like, who doesn't love that? And I most certainly take times out to just kind of, be in that imaginary world. But we live in our waking world, we live a real life, and it isn't like you're trying to control people with the energy. What happens when someone comes into a room, you're right, we all bring our stuff into any room that we come in, but it's like, if you're going to sweep the floor, you're going to sweep the dust, out of the corners. If you, if the lights are down and nobody can see their papers, you're going to turn the lights up. So we just kind of transfer that to the energetics. And so it sounds like they could note, it's like, we like to come into a clean house versus a dirty house and cluttered house. But energetically, most often people don't think about the energetics of, but just like if you clean your house, you declutter your house, it feels better as well. There's a lot of ways to come at it, but that's when you really started noticing.
Yes, I did. And here's the other thing, which I'm just remembering this now. The other thing that shifted was me, because sometimes students of trauma have a lot of, they have a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Tools to protect themselves. They say a lot of things.
Coping mechanisms. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. They say a lot of things and do a lot of things that might not be socially acceptable or appropriate in trying to protect themselves. And what happened is that they also started saying, well, it's not just a room that's safe, but you're safe.
I was going to say that with you meditating and using the techniques, I bet you felt safe to them as well.
Yes, I stopped reacting. I just didn't, I stopped reacting to their, to their usual, like, okay, triggers, I mean, we all have triggers. Teachers have triggers.
Yeah.
And I stopped reacting, and it shifted everything. It was just like a wave, like, oh yeah, all right. Not that I had no boundaries or, expectations, but I personally stopped with my own verbal and emotional, like, woof, reaction. It just wasn't there.
Exactly. Yeah. So kind of bringing it to the mind, I kind of picked up, you said, I can be in my head a lot, and I can think a lot. And, thinking can get you only so far. And a lot of times we try to understand our anxiety. We try to understand our stress. We understand, try to understand why we don't feel good. I mean, just this morning I got up to meditate and I'm like, wow, why is my energy so off? And then I have to remember, okay, don't sit and think about it a lot. Just go into the flow and use the intuitive tools that you use. So how has that helped your, we call it, you can call it stinking thinking, over analysis paralysis. We can have a lot of fun words to describe it, but it's not that funny, is it?
No, it's not. And it's also very resistant, because I like analyzing.
Yeah.
I like it, I like knowing. And so even when I'm like, okay, stop doing that, drop down into your heart, try and just relax and use the tools. But the mind doesn't want to give up. So one of the things that helped, this is curious, it's also related to the classroom experience, is that I would come home and I would have, all their stuff would have glommed onto me, and I would be crabby, I would be irritable, or I would be teary, or I'd be sad. And none of it's, I'm like, I started to recognize through using these tools, what was mine and what wasn't mine.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this is not mine. I have no reason to be sad. I have no reason to come home and be crabbing at my husband, super irritable at the littlest things, So he started picking up on it, and he goes, oh, all right, you brought him home with you, So he would go in your room and do your thing, do your releasing thing, So that's how I knew that I'm spinning, because I was thinking about their situation, their homeless situation, or what they said to me, or what this staff person did, or that overspinning. And then it was coming out as irritability. And so that helps. So
Yeah.
he helped
Yeah.
me identify it.
And
And
then
then you
you
just,
started recognizing it. Yeah.
yes,
And
yes, yeah.
it isn't like, I guess I just want to clarify for everyone who's listening to this, you happen to be working in a situation where, you know, you've got youth who are struggling. And I teach, you know, also teach meditation intuitive development at a unhoused youth center. So I do know that, but you could be in the best working environment ever with the healthiest, best people to work with, and you can still just, your energies blend when you're together. It's just nature. And so, yeah, to come home and be able to just kind of release and let go and ground, it can happen anywhere
Yes.
with any situation.
The other thing I realized, Nancy, is that I never considered myself empathic, you know, because I didn't think I didn't feel, and because I was so much up here. But I think the more that I'm in your program, I was what's the word? I was absorbing different things, like you said, wherever I am, I was absorbing it, but instead of getting emotional, I went head spinning. So
Okay.
it's like the energy or the frequency or whatever that I was absorbing went straight to my head and
Yeah.
started the mental process rather than like the emotional process. So
Yeah.
either way, I was picking it up and I needed to release it.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
been very helpful.
So we do, because it's the meditations. Now in the program, I'm an experiential teacher. And so I'm always trying to describe that we're not going to do a lot of head talk. We'll definitely have conversations. You definitely have opportunities to ask questions. But most of the time I want you to get your experience through experiencing the different tools and techniques. So it's kind of like, I guess the question I want to ask you is, you know, why is intuition valuable? Why does it should have a higher value in people's lives than it does? So you said, okay, this is the meat. This isn't just the sampler platter. This is the meat. But it takes some level of trust and faith, doesn't it? You can get intuitive hits, but how did you get over that level of being able to trust yourself in what you were picking up was right?
So I think, I know that it's for all of us, we are, like you said, we are experiential beings. I can listen to somebody else's story, but unless I experience it for myself,
Yeah.
it's not going to be like deep in my bones, works for me, you
Yeah.
know? And so your program, what it's done for me is, so I learn it, which I'm good at. I learn it. And then you have the community, the community, the Facebook community, and you know, so there's other people that you can talk about it with. But then comes the, like you said, the experience. Everything you do, you guide through doing on your own. So you have the experience. And then once you have the experience, to me, that's the next kicker step. And that is that you gain confidence and trust.
And you
Because
take it
once
into your life.
exactly. So I started doing that golden pillar in the classroom. I started doing the releasing when I came home. And it's not instantaneous, you know, but it became, when I did it, it became without a doubt truth. It was truth. It showed up in my life. I saw a very specific result from doing the techniques. So knowing, learning, community, having the experience, doing the work, and then having it show up in your life, the practicality of having it show up in your
Yeah.
life. And then the next thing, which I never experienced those with any other program that I did, is then you level up. Then it's, you know, I don't know what you'd call it, like raise your frequency or your vibration, but it's like you feel yourself going to another level
Yes.
of trust and confidence. So then you do it more like, oh, okay, I'm going to, you know, I might be doing it 10% of my day. I'm going to increase it to 20% of my day,
Yeah.
where I'm checking in with my, you know, am I
Yes.
grounded? Am I connected? And so then you do that more and more. And the more you do the experience, and then you get the knowing, and then you level up, and then you do it more. And before you know it, it's like part of your everyday life.
Yeah.
But that's what's different about your program than other things that I have, you know, cafeteria style done, because it would be all on, it would be I would learn about it, and then it's on me to do the practice. But then
Yeah.
how do I know? Your program has the validation. That's what
Yeah.
it is. It has the
So
validation.
I don't know why why this is coming up, but this question's coming up. So I'm going to kind of throw it at you because intuition, yes, you can read other people's intentions. You can read what other people are feeling. But when you're using it for your own life, you can read if this is right for me or not, or should I go in this direction? Should I go in a different direction? But what's coming up for me to ask you about is like travel, for example. So long before 2013, when these techniques came to you, so you're going to go on a vacation, or you're going to go visit friends, and you've got to get the hotel, and you got to get the airline, and you've got to pack your bags. Like, how would you have felt pre-intuitive? And then how is traveling for a trip different now?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. So before, because I am, I'm an uber organized, very, very organized researcher, I would have depended on my knowledge and my organizational skills. I would have asked other people, got it all organized, but I would have framed it out exactly how I wanted it, and then I would have made the trip fit how I wanted it. Does that make sense?
And then what would happen if it didn't turn out the way
Oh,
really?
Yeah, then it would be chaos. I mean, really upsetting, frantic. Wow, this is really interesting. I've never thought about this. So yes. So I would have a very set picture of how it would all be, how it would all work. And then, yeah, if there were any kinks in the plan, I was not a very pleasant person to be around,
Okay, so
until
now
it
you've
worked out.
added your spiritual connection. So not just your physical, your emotional, your mental, what we call the 3D human world aspect, but now you're adding the spiritual aspects of who you are, the more kind of go with the flow. Things are unfolding as they should. Your intuition, while you're planning the trip, now you're including your intuition in the planning. Now, how is it different?
It's completely different, because now, and I still am an organizer, and I'm still a planner.
And that's the
I'm like,
beauty
go with
about
the
this.
flow.
Like, you're not,
Yeah,
anyone who's in this program, you're not all of a sudden going to become monk-like or
right.
nun-like.
No.
You are your personality. You just
Mhm.
add that additional aspect.
Yes.
Your spirit personality.
Right. So instead of trying to frame the outer world that I'm going into in the future, instead of trying to frame the whole thing, make it all work and then fit myself into that. Now, what I do is I set my frame in pencil, not in marker, not in permanent marker. So I set it all there, and then I insert myself into it. But now, if there's shifts and changes, then it's like, now I have the tools to go, okay, so I wonder why that, using my curiosity, I wonder why that happened. I wonder what's up with this. Okay, well, perhaps there's something better to come out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't get rattled, because you can't, especially when you start to daily say, I'm going to trust my inner self and live for my highest good, then you really have to, you can't say it, but not do it. You have to, if I'm going to say it every day and then I react like that, well, that's not coherent. And so, of course it didn't all happen overnight with me.
No, it didn't. But I just traveled with you last May to Ireland. We were just talking about that before we came on this call. And you had said that Ireland was so impactful for you in a big way, but we got COVID. There were 8 of us on the trip that got COVID. And I remember we couldn't get out of the country, and we were all getting out of the country. But you handled it so well.
Yeah, everybody was leaving, but United would not let me out the day that everybody else left. They sent me back to the hotel, and
I phoned you and I said, I can fix this. If you want to come back to the airport, I can fix this. I've got somebody here that can fix it. And you said, no, There's a reason why I'm not supposed to get on that plane today. I have surrendered, or whatever you said. I'm going to go back to my hotel, and I know I'll get out tomorrow. That is a completely different Maura than who you described previously.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. Yeah. I just like, okay, I'm not supposed to get out today. And the interesting thing is, Nancy, that I had gone to the airport, remember, the day before, and asked the United agent, what exactly do I need to get out of here tomorrow? And she told me, and I was there with every single thing. And she's like, yeah, sorry. And I mean, at first I was like, what? And then I'm like, okay. So I went back
You
to
were
the
challenged.
airport. Yeah. And I had an entire day of processing and writing about the trip. It was just like, I don't know, it was just amazing. It was
It was
amazing.
amazing.
But
So
even more than that, the one day that we were supposed to go to a really cool place, Newgrange, which I had been to before there were all the when everybody could just walk in. And I was waiting to go in there, and I couldn't go because of COVID. So I couldn't get to the main place I wanted to go to. And yet I'm sitting outside, and I had the most amazing experience of the whole trip, which would
I
not
have
have happened.
goosebumps.
Yeah, that experience would not have happened. Another validating experiential.
Yeah. And so you were using your tools when you couldn't get in. You had to sit and kind of ground, and you had to sit with yourself and your spirit. And
Okay, why? What are you trying to tell me? What do I need out of this? There's something different than I need here. Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to just flip a little bit before we wrap up this call, because I'm a nurse and I teach intuitive psychic development. I really want people to know the benefit at the human level, where you can really, your life just can become much more grounded and stable and focused. However, you've been able to learn how to do intuitive readings, and you started doing intuitive readings on your friends. And now you've made that decision to really level up into Psychic Mastery 2 program. You were in Psychic Mastery 1 since 2013. It is not required that you go into Psychic Mastery 2. And we don't need to talk about that piece, but you started really doing readings with other people and found out you were having a lot of fun.
Yes. Okay. So what do you want me to I'm not clear on, is there a question, or what do you want me to talk about here, Nancy?
So when you started, I guess it would be leveling up. You started really developing your intuition. You started trusting your intuition more. And then what made you say to a friend, hey, can I just practice seeing what I can pick up about you with my intuition? And then what was that like? I remember how excited you were. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Cause I was like, oh, Psychic Mastery 2, those people are so advanced, and so here's what it was. I finally decided, so if you remember my cafeteria analogy, right? And then you're the main course. But so what I finally realized is that if I really focus and I trust that it's there.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I had never done that before. I had never focused enough, and I had never trusted enough. And so one of the things that's beautiful about your program is that there's people who are willing to be, sure, yeah, you can do a reading on me. There are people who are willing to let you practice without any judgment, without any expectation. And so to me, that was just, it was my own lack of confidence and my own doubt that was in the way. But somehow your program changed that. And that just went that was a huge level up for me. The other thing is that I finally got enough practice, enough trust in myself to get down out of my head and down into my heart. And that's where it all it's okay, into my heart. And then I started realizing that you do pick up stuff before it enters your physical body. You pick it up out here.
Yep.
I'm like, wow, we all have this field. And if we could intercept, read the field before it comes in here, it's like cut, stop action, how do I want to read this? What do I want to do
Exactly.
here? It just
Exactly.
changes everything. That's what changed for me anyway,
Yeah, it does
is that
change.
I,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 That you can
Well,
create your outer world from the inner.
exactly. Exactly. Well, Maura, it's been delightful. You are definitely one of the long termers, not the longest, but
Yes.
that's the thing that once people, they love the community so much that they just end up staying in
Mhm.
for the community connection. And that's exactly where we're going right now. We're that unity
Yeah,
consciousness. We are becoming more
yeah.
unified as a community and as humanity. Relationships are becoming much more important again. And,
Mhm.
but, being able to have my stuff be my stuff and your stuff be your stuff makes much healthier relationships in the long run. But yeah, there's step-by-step instructions along the way, but I have so enjoyed having you and continue to
Yes.
have you in the program and now in Psychic Mastery too. So is there any final thing that you want to
Yes.
say before we wrap up?
Yes, I'm getting something that I forgot to say that was really important for me to say, and that is in your program. Another thing that makes your program different is, how I was saying that you learn it and then you practice it, experience it, but having the container of you, I'm not even sure how to say it. It's like that you're there as a like, okay, you can do this. It's like not a push, but a oh my gosh, I'm not finding the word. You're holding the container for us to learn it, but you're also not letting us off the hook. You
No,
know what I mean?
we call
Okay.
it feet to the
How
fire.
I okay,
Feet
yeah,
to the
maybe.
fire.
Yes, yes.
You
But
can do this.
you're
Yeah,
there. It's almost like you're there as a safety net. Okay, I'm
yeah,
not going to do it for you,
right.
but you can do it. And
Yeah.
here you are. So it's
And
almost like
and
that
we
little
want
push.
you to want to do it.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
When you're ready, and people wonder, well, what does that look like in Psychic Mastery 1? You can be in the background and you can work independently and you never have to engage with anybody and you can work at your own pace. But if you want to be, in there a little bit more, there's loads of opportunities every week to be involved, on Zoom and to
Yeah.
learn and grow and then to take breaks. So that's the beauty about Psychic Mastery 1 is, yeah, you
Yes.
get to work at your own pace. And
Yeah.
if you say, hey, I think I'd like to stretch and grow a little bit out of my comfort zone. And, we'll say, okay, what's that look like for you? And then, yeah, then we know that you
Yes.
can do it. We know, when I say we, I talk about Kathy, Yvonne, and I.
Yeah.
We have just for over 25 years been teaching. We've watched people go from novice or not ever thinking to professional,
Hmm.
and everyone can do it. So we know that, but it's when you're ready, you get to go to the next
Exactly.
level.
That's what because I have been at all of those things, all of the things, background, background, background. Oh, let's do this for a while. Oh, fade back. That was me. So I've been at all of the
Yeah,
levels. And it's sort of like you're there, whatever you're there to match whatever level people are to help move them to the
exactly.
next level.
To
Yeah.
meet them there. Yeah. And
Right.
then I always kind of look at that next step and then I'm reaching my hand down. It's like, you want to join me on this step or
Uh-huh.
you want to stay
Yeah.
there for a while? That's cool too. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's an
I'm so
amazing
glad.
program. Everybody should join.
Yes, yes, yes. It is a wonderful, and it will be there. We have staying power. We're around year after year after year, and yeah, we just love our community, and hopefully the whole world one day will open to this. But all right, thanks again,
Good.
Maura, so
Good.
much.
Thank you,
Enjoyed
Nancy.
having
Thank
you.
you.
And I know
Okay.
you were concerned about your little new puppy barking in the background, but see, your little puppy did just fine.
She did. Yeah.
All right, take care.
Okay.
Thanks everyone
Thanks,
for
Nancy.
joining in, and I will enjoy reading your comments and questions. And please, please, please write in the comment any notes that anything you want to say to Maura, what really sparked you when you were listening to her. That would be great. All right, take care, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye, Nancy.
Wait, I'm gonna have you wait.
Okay.